You know, this is what we need here as we're tracking Hurricane Dorian. We've had a lot of information the last couple of days. And Eric, I think one of the things we need to take away here is we're 5 days out. We're going to give this Facebook Live a couple of minutes to breathe, let some viewers join us. But just so you know, we're looking at the latest information from that 11 a.m. advisory. We're going to pull the satellite loop up full. This gives you a chance to kind of tap your questions. We're going to work behind the scenes. And Shari is going to be reading those questions for us here coming up in a few minutes. So keep those rolling in, and we're just going to be kind of chit-chatting here behind the scenes.
All right, so now you can see a little disorganization there. Some dry air got mixed in with Dorian, but this will regenerate. In fact, the pressure over the past 12 hours, it did go up from, I believe it was 987 to 991 millibars, which showed maybe just a tad weakening. But again, that's that dry air, as you can see. It looks like the southeastern portion of the storm. But this will get organized once again over the next several hours. The pressure has gone down over the past several hours, back down to, I believe it's 986 millibars. So again, the lower the pressure, the stronger the storm, so to speak. And we are still seeing the maximum sustained wind at 85 miles per hour. But now the forecast for day 3 has the maximum sustained wind at 130 miles per hour. So that would put Dorian as a Category 4 storm. Yeah, and what Eric was mentioning there, that dry air kind of got sucked in on the southeast quadrant early this morning. So when we were on air early, that pressure popped up. But looking at it structurally here, Eric, we're looking at a pretty healthy system as it pulls north. That's right. You know, once that dry air kind of, gets out of there, we get some more moisture and wraps around the center of Dorian. It will look a little more impressive than what you're seeing here. It's got some pretty good outflow in the northern portion of the storm. Earlier, it had some wind shear from the southwest. There was an upper level low that was helping to cause that yesterday, and I think we won't see that today, and that will again allow Dorian to maybe even form an eye that we'll be able to see. It's really hard to tell. Yeah. It looked like an eye wall was starting to form about maybe 3, 4, 5 hours ago, but again, with that dry air coming in, and it's still a bit disorganized, and it is regenerating though as we speak. Yeah, it looks like maybe some colder cloud tops there on the southern edge. The NOAA P3 aircraft was inside the storm earlier today, and they were reporting a double eye wall structure, and the smaller inner eye was only 5 nautical miles wide. So this is a small storm with a larger eye wall, 25 nautical miles out. And what a smaller storm means right now is that the hurricane force winds only extend out about 15 miles from center. And I believe the tropical storm force winds only extend out 80 some miles. So let me double check that. 90. It's up to 90 now at the 11 a.m. advisory. Shari, we getting some people on board here? Yeah, guys. So I'm keeping track of comments. We've got a lot of people hopping on. Thanks to everyone that's jumping in. We're looking at about 425 people, guys. So you know. One of the comments I just wanted to share with you off the top was that someone said you guys look like twins. So there you go for the record. Jumping into a more serious topic with the storm, we have people asking about possibly the storm becoming a Category 4. Okay. Yeah, you want to get right to the latest advisory? Let's kind of walk people through the time. Yeah, so the latest advisory has the storm currently 85 miles per hour. 12 hours from now, it has the storm at 100 miles per hour, so Cat 2. And then in 24 hours, a major hurricane, Category 3, 115 miles per hour. And each successive 12-hour period, it has the storm gaining 5 miles per hour maximum sustained wind. So by 2 days from now, 48 hours from now, so 11 o'clock on Saturday, 125 miles per hour, and then 130 miles per hour as it makes landfall within, looks like about 4.5 to 5 days. Right, and I've kind of got the cone paused here because, as Eric just mentioned, that's a Category 4 hurricane. This is a major hurricane, and Shari, to answer the question, yes, the National Hurricane Center is now indicating this is likely to become a Category 4. Now, I know that's a jump up in number, but you have to remember this morning's advisory had it at 125, so it was just a jump of 5 miles per hour, but it's definitely something to take note of because there is a window of rapid intensification as it moves closer to the coastline. And I know this is what many people are wanting to know is where the forecast cone and forecast track has it making landfall in the state of Florida. And this is Monday morning. So we're looking at Labor Day morning, sustained winds of 130 miles per hour with an expanding wind field of a hurricane that is approaching the coastline. And this forecast track is pretty much unchanged from the 5 a.m. advisory. The National Hurricane Center waiting to get
get that latest European model tracker run in there. And I think really it'll be telling tonight for the 5 and the 11 o'clock to see what the Europeans still thinking, because as Eric and I have been watching this the last couple of days, the European is typically one of the more reliable computer models, and it's been drifting to the south, and that's why we have seen this cone shift from north of the Space Coast down a little bit, and I know it's got some people's attention over the last couple of days.
So what I want to do is, if we can go over to weather too, I just want to show the differences that I've seen. So yesterday, the European model, and here is the storm. You can see in the yellow, the big blob right there.
Got it.
Almost on the center part of your screen. Yesterday, it was coming in just south of West Palm Beach and literally going straight across the state to Fort Myers. Now, I've been updating my meteorologist Facebook, Eric Stone page, and with updates every several hours. And originally on Monday, I thought the storm was going to go north, even around Cape Canaveral up toward Jacksonville. So when I saw this yesterday, I thought, wow. But this is a little more promising in my opinion. When I put this in motion, Dorian still takes that westerly turn over the next couple of days, and I'm going to zoom this in, and you can see where Dorian is at right here. It is still expected, at least on the Euro model, to make landfall south of West Palm Beach, or almost around Lauderdale, maybe a little north of there. But notice, instead of going straight across, Euro takes this strongly, a sharp turn to the north, and that is good news for Southwest Florida. So that's one little aspect there that I'm pretty happy about for Southwest Florida. Now, when we look at the GFS model, this has been pretty consistent as taking this north around Cape Canaveral. In fact, yesterday morning, it actually had Dorian making landfall in South Carolina. But I'll put this in motion, and, well, maybe we'll put this in motion. Hopefully it will, or maybe not.
Okay, here, I tell you what.
Do you have it?
Yeah, go back to graphics 1. Okay, this is the GFS model. We'll zoom it in here on Florida. Right there, it's north of Grand Bahama and the Abacos. And there, Eric, there's what you were looking for.
Right.
So it has a landfall Labor Day morning, a little closer up towards Titusville and the Space Coast. And this one rides off to the north through Jacksonville into Georgia and the Carolinas. And that kind of gives you the spread of two of the models that the National Hurricane Center really looks at. And what they have done for their official forecast is kind of split the difference and went with the consensus, which is right there, Indian River County, and heading into Orlando. But it's this turn to the north that I think really gets our attention because the high pressure and the steering currents break down. And why we got a chance, let's go ahead and kind of talk about why this storm is getting pushed towards Florida. You can see Dorian there just north of Puerto Rico in its current location. Now that ridge of high pressure, that Bermuda high, drives tropical storms, tropical waves, hurricanes in our direction all season long. And whenever a storm develops, the steering currents and the strength and weakness of that high pressure ridge is always what we watch here in the U.S. To know where and when a storm is going to make landfall. And with Dorian, the tropical ridge right now is fairly weak. So we've got this there's a weakness in the ridge. So we've got this northwest movement for now. And Eric, as we go closer to the weekend, the computer models are forecasting this high pressure ridge to build in, and we watch this high pressure ridge because the stronger it is, the farther south it's going to go. Looking at the computer models that turn back to the north, obviously the steering currents are breaking down or that ridge is retreating.
Well, yeah, you know, whenever we see this high pressure, the Bermuda high, storms seem to follow. There's a reason why they move west, northwest, north, and then northeast a lot of times back out to sea, whether that high is a little bit more east than what you're seeing on the screen, or maybe the ridge is stronger. Well, from what I've noticed over the years is a lot of times 5, 6, 7 days out when the forecast models tend to build this ridge, I call it a magical ridge that's just going to steer these hurricanes straight west. A lot of times the ridge isn't as strong as the models are predicting several days out. And again, that's what I'm hoping for. And that's why on Monday, when I was posting my first updates on my Facebook page, that I think Dorian is actually going to hit from the Space Coast up toward Jacksonville, maybe even further north. Now, again, this ridge is expected to build, and it will. The question is, how strong will it be? Now, the European model, technically has been right, in my opinion, more times than not, compared to the GFS. But again, I'm seeing a lot of inconsistencies with this European model. The European model has always taken this storm over the past couple of days, either straight across or maybe a southeast to northwest motion once it does make landfall. But now that it's making landfall, it's taking it due north and then northeast. Very similar to what GFS is going to do, although GFS doesn't have it as far south. So I'm losing my confidence in this European model, because this is like night and day compared to yesterday, when the European model had this storm literally going straight across right over Fort Myers.
And I think it's important to note that with those inconsistencies and, well, I guess the consistency of the European model to be farther to the south, that the forecast track, when you get to the end there, that cone is 420 miles wide. And the National Hurricane Center has it said several times in their discussion that they have high confidence in the next 2 days, but they do not have confidence in days 4 and 5, that there's still a lot of uncertainty.
Right, and I've been looking at my GFS and European wind forecast and rain forecast, and if we can go over to Weather 2, I want to show you the wind predictor, and this is the strongest wind predictor for the European model on Tuesday. In fact, it looks like 15 to 20 miles per hour. That's not bad at all. And the GFS, pretty close to the same, upwards of 20 miles per hour. So I'm liking both of the forecast models in regards to wind. In regards to rain, the GFS has 1 to 2 inches of rain from Sunday at midnight through Tuesday, which again really isn't that much, especially for a rainy day, a rainy season day. Now the Euro again does take it a little further to the south, so you'll notice our inland communities around Lake Okeechobee a good 5 to 7 inches. Okay. But along the coast, we're still looking at upwards of maybe an inch or two. So I'm not as nervous. Again, I'm putting a concern meter on my Facebook page, and yesterday I believe it was a 6 out of 10. I like that. It's starting to go down a bit. I'm about a 4 out of 10 right now, at least here in Southwest Florida.
Okay, we got to wrap this up here. We've got to be off here at 11:20. I know you've been asking a lot of questions. Shari has got a list of those. I'm going to stick around here in the Weather Center, and I'm going to continue to answer those on Facebook. Let them go, and we'll be here throughout the day.
Yeah, and I'll be here throughout the day today and into the evening with Derek Beasley and Cindy Pressler. So keep your questions coming, and we'll definitely answer them for you.
Eric and Eric, episode number 1. I like it. Have a good day, guys. We'll see you soon.
Take care now.